My name is Nora and I am 32 years old. I am sitting cross-legged on the rug in my parents' living room, the one that has always smelled faintly of pine cleaner and old rules. The hardwood floor beneath the rug is cold, even through my wool socks, and my knees ache in the way they do when I stay still too long. Torn wrapping paper surrounds me like fallen petals, metallic reds and greens, snowmen smiling too wide, Santa hats slipping off reindeer antlers. Christmas morning has always been loud in this house, but today the noise feels distant, muffled, as though I'm underwater. Across the room, my younger sister Leela is spinning in a loose circle, laughing, the way she did when we were children and she wanted attention without asking for it, except she's not a child now. She's 31, wearing a cream sweater that cost more than my monthly electric bill, her hair freshly blown out, her nails glossy and perfect. In her hand, she's dangling a set of keys. Not just keys, car keys. They catch the light from the Christmas tree every time she moves, a sharp glint of silver and black. I recognize the logo instantly. "Oh my God," Leela squeals, bouncing on her heels. "I can't believe you did this." Dad is standing behind her, chest puffed slightly, his smile unguarded and proud in a way I don't think I've ever seen directed at me. Mom stands beside him, hands clasped beneath her chin like she's witnessing something holy. In the driveway, Dad says, "Go look." Leela lets out a shriek and rushes toward the front window. Outside, visible through the frosted glass, sits a brand new silver Audi with an enormous red bow draped across the hood. Snowflakes cling to the windshield, sparkling in the early morning light. "My own car," she says, her voice trembling. "My own," Dad laughs, "you deserve it. All those clients you've been taking on, you need something reliable." Something about the word reliable makes my stomach tighten. I look down at my lap. The gift I'm holding is light. So light it barely registers as an object. It's wrapped in thin paper that tore too easily, like it was already tired. Inside is a small ceramic coin bank shaped like a cartoon owl. Its eyes are too big, its smile frozen in permanent cheer. There's a faded sticker on the bottom. $2.49 clearance. "Oh, open it," Mom says brightly, noticing my hesitation. Turn it over. My fingers feel stiff as I pull out the rubber stopper. The sound it makes, a soft pop, seems disproportionately loud in the room. 2 coins fall into my palm, 1 quarter. 3 pennies, I stare at them. Dad chuckles. "It's symbolic." "Symbolic of what?" I ask before I can stop myself. Mom shoots me a warning look, the kind she's perfected over decades, of saving. "You're always so good with money, Nora. We thought this could be the start of your future home fund." Dad nods, waving a hand dismissively. "You don't need much help. You've always figured things out on your own." He winks at Leela, who has returned from the window, cheeks flushed with excitement. "Unlike some people," Dad adds. Leela laughs and pretends to be offended. "Hey," the room goes quiet. The silence stretches thin and sticky like caramel pulled too far. I can feel my heartbeat in my ears. "Well," Mom says finally, clapping her hands together. "Leela needs dependable transportation for her design consultations. People expect a certain image." Leela drops onto the couch beside me, her perfume, something floral and expensive, filling my lungs. She pats my knee. "Don't worry," she says sweetly. "I'll come get you anytime you need a ride. Your old sedan has to be on its last breath by now." My sedan, the one I drove 8 hours through snow and mountain passes to get here yesterday. The one I bought myself after paying off my student loans. The one that has never once failed to start. I feel something tighten in my chest. I can't breathe properly. I manage a smile, though my face feels stiff. "Excuse me," I say. "Bathroom." I don't wait for a response. I walk, not run, up the stairs, past the gallery wall where Leela's face appears in frame after frame. Soccer trophies, dance recitals, art shows. There are photos of me too, but always at the edges. Cropped, forgotten, the bathroom door clicks shut behind me and I lock it. The mirror shows a woman I barely recognize, 36, calm on the surface, eyes too clear, no tears yet. I grip the marble counter, its cold seeping into my palms. People talk about heartbreak like it's poetic. It's not, it's pressure. It's the feeling that something essential is shrinking inside your chest, compressing slowly, methodically, like concrete curring around your lungs. My sternum aches, dull and heavy. This is what it feels like, I think, to disappear quietly. That night, I lie awake in my childhood bedroom, staring at glow-in-the-dark stars still stuck to the ceiling from when I was 12. Downstairs, I hear laughter, Leela and my parents planning her first road trip, debating colors of leather interiors and playlists. At 2:11 a.m., I sit up. The decision doesn't arrive with drama. It's simple, clean. I pack quickly. I take my grandmother's quilt, my college journals, a framed photo of my first completed bridge project. The gifts I bought them, the watch, the scarf, the camera lens, stay under the tree. They were never about generosity anyway. The house is silent as I walk downstairs. I leave my key on the kitchen counter, beside the coffee maker that will start brewing in a few hours. Outside, snow falls softly. By the time I start the engine, the dashboard clock reads 3:37 a.m. As I pull onto the empty road, a familiar Christmas song hums through the radio. I turn the volume down until the silence returns. "Merry Christmas," I whisper to the empty passenger seat. The words taste bitter. The highway south is empty in a way that feels deliberate, like the world has decided to step aside and let me pass. Snow drifts lazily across the asphalt, thin at first, then heavier as I leave the city limits behind. My headlights carve two pale tunnels through the darkness, and everything outside them ceases to exist. I keep both hands on the steering wheel. Not because I'm afraid of the road, but because if I let go, even for a second, I might feel everything all at once. The heater rattles, doing its best. The car smells faintly of coffee and pine needles, remnants of the drive down yesterday, 7 years old, over 200,000 miles. Paid off with overtime checks and discipline and the quiet satisfaction of knowing no one could take it from me. Unlike love, unlike approval. The dashboard clock ticks forward with a soft insistence. 3:58 a.m. Christmas morning. I pass a sign welcoming me to Southern Oregon, the letters reflective and indifferent. My chest tightens again, that same pressure building, but this time I don't fight it. I let the ache exist, let it sit beside me like an uninvited passenger. The radio crackles. I turn it on without thinking, searching for noise, any noise. A crooner's voice fills the car, smooth and nostalgic, promising warmth and home and togetherness. I turn it off. Home, I'm realizing, isn't a place you return to when it costs you pieces of yourself. The road curves gently, snow thickening, wipers swiping back and forth with rhythmic determination. I focus on that motion. Clear, obscure, clear again. My phone buzzes on the console. I don't look at it right away. When I finally glance down, the screen glows with my mother's name. I let it ring. It stops, then buzzes again. A text this time. "Did you remember to schedule the payment for the lake house utilities before you left? No, are you safe? No, where did you go? No, please come back." Just logistics, just obligation. I laugh, a short, brittle sound that surprises me with its sharpness. The lake house. The one they bought for family bonding and then handed over to Leela for photo shoots and weekend parties. The one I helped pay for quietly through temporary loans that were never repaid. I don't answer. A semi-truck roars past me in the opposite direction, spraying slush across my windshield. For 3 heart-stopping seconds, I see nothing but white chaos. My breath catches, hands tightening painfully around the wheel. When visibility returns, my pulse is racing. The fear unlocks something. Memories surge forward uninvited. I am 6 years old, standing in the backyard while a rented pony circles lazily with Leela perched on its back, wearing a glittering tiara. There's a clown, a bounce house, a cake shaped like a castle. The following year, my birthday consists of a grocery store cake and 2 classmates I barely know. "She needs social development," Dad says when I ask why it was different. "You're more self-sufficient," Mom adds, smiling like that's a compliment. I am 17, valedictorian, gripping the edges of the podium while scanning the audience for familiar faces. The seats reserved for family are empty. Leela has a dance competition out of town. "We'll watch the recording," Mom promises. The DVD stays in its case until I leave for college. I am 21, working late shifts at the campus library, then closing the cafe, then staying up until 2 a.m. to finish problem sets. I learn how to be tired without complaint. Meanwhile, postcards arrive from Europe, Florence, Barcelona, Paris. "Leela needs to find herself," Dad says over the phone. "You've always known who you are." The highway stretches on. Mile markers count down toward the California border. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Dad. I let it go to voicemail. The sky begins to lighten, faint blue seeping into black. Dawn approaches quietly, without ceremony. I pull onto the shoulder when my hands start to shake, hazard lights blinking orange against the snow. I lean forward until my forehead rests against the steering wheel. The tears come then, not sobs, not drama, just a steady, silent release like a dam finally allowing water through. "I wasn't invisible," I whisper to the empty car. "You just chose not to see me." When my phone rings again, the sound startles me. This time it's not family, it's Rachel, my college roommate. My friend, the one who saw the boxes that arrived for me filled with socks and notebooks, while Leela received designer coats. The one who invited me to stay with her during breaks when flying home was too expensive. I answer. Where are you? She asks immediately, no preamble, concern threading through her voice. Somewhere in Oregon, I say, driving south. A pause. Okay, she says. Where are you going? I don't know. Another pause, longer this time. Come here, she says finally. Come to San Diego. You can stay with me. I don't want to impose. Stop, she cuts in gently but firmly. You've spent your whole life carrying other people. Let someone carry you for once. Something inside me fractures open. I'm scared, I admit. I know, she says. That doesn't mean you're wrong. We make a plan, check-ins every hour, directions sent. The guest room already being cleared. When the call ends, I pull back onto the highway. My shoulders feel marginally lighter. By 7:45 a.m., I cross into California. The sign flashes past, Welcome to California. I laugh then, a real laugh, wet and disbelieving. My phone shows 14 missed calls and more texts than I can count. I don't read them. I turn off notifications entirely. The silence that follows is immense and holy. I stop at a roadside diner not long after, neon sign buzzing, parking lot nearly empty. Inside, warmth wraps around me like a blanket. Coffee, bacon, butter. An older woman with steel gray hair pours coffee into a mug without asking. Rough morning, she says. Rough life, I mutter. She doesn't laugh, doesn't flinch. Family trouble? She asks. I nod. She pats my hand. Blood makes relatives, behavior makes family. I eat slowly, deliberately, each bite grounding me. By the time I get back in the car, the sun is fully up. For the first time since Christmas morning, I don't feel like I'm running. I feel like I'm choosing. 3 weeks later, I am sitting on a borrowed bed in a small, sunlit apartment in San Diego, my suitcase still half unpacked. My phone vibrates on the nightstand. Again, I don't look. Rachel knocks lightly on the doorframe. They still calling? Yes, you don't have to answer. I know. I finally check voicemail later that night. Dad's voice is sharp, authoritative. If you don't return that vehicle immediately, I'll report it stolen. I delete it. Mom's message follows, voice trembling. My doctor says my blood pressure is dangerously high because of the stress you're causing. I hope you can live with that. I sit very still, then I delete that too. The next morning, I open my laptop and write an email I've rewritten a dozen times. A transfer request, no explanations, no family references, just credentials, performance, work. 3 hours later, approval lands in my inbox. Just like that, Rachel whoops when I tell her, see, you didn't need permission. The words echo permission. That night, as I lie in the dark, staring at an unfamiliar ceiling, it finally hits me. I didn't just leave a house. I left a role, and I'm not going back to it. San Diego doesn't feel real at first. It feels borrowed, like I'm wearing someone else's life for a few weeks, careful not to crease it. The air is warmer than Seattle ever was, the light softer, gentler. Palm trees sway outside Rachel's apartment windows as if they're unconcerned with anyone's expectations. The ocean is close enough that I can smell salt when the wind shifts. I start waking up before my alarm, not because I have to, because my body isn't bracing itself anymore. The first week passes in a blur of small, strange freedoms. I drink coffee slowly instead of gulping it between tasks. I sit on the balcony in the evenings, listening to traffic hum instead of family tension crackle through the walls. Rachel gives me space without making me feel abandoned, checks in without hovering. It's a balance I didn't know existed. On the 8th morning, my phone buzzes again. Dad. I stare at the screen longer this time, then I turn it face down. I think they're escalating, I tell Rachel over breakfast. She's slicing mangoes, her movements easy and unhurried. Of course they are, she says. Control doesn't disappear quietly. That afternoon, I take a walk alone, no destination, just movement. The sidewalk is warm beneath my shoes. A woman walks past me laughing into her phone. A man plays guitar near a coffee shop, his case open for tips. No one knows me here. The thought is both terrifying and exhilarating. 2 days later, I sit in a small office that smells faintly of citrus cleaner and old books. Dr. Havorson, family systems therapist, Rachel insisted. Not in the way my parents insist, no pressure, no guilt, just a calm statement. I think this might help. I sit on the edge of the chair, hands folded too neatly in my lap. So, doctor. Havorson says, her voice measured, warm. What brings you in? The answer wants to be everything. Instead, I say, I think my family only loves me when I'm useful. She doesn't rush to contradict me. How long have you felt that way? As long as I can remember. We talk about roles, the responsible one, the easy one, the one who doesn't need anything. The scapegoat often appears strong, she explains, because they're forced to be. That strength gets mistaken for lack of need. Something clicks. I leave the session exhausted but lighter. That night, I dream of bridges collapsing, not violently, but deliberately, one support beam removed at a time. I wake up knowing exactly what it means. The apartment hunt begins the following week. I don't want luxury, I want mine. The place I choose is small, sunlit, and imperfect. Hardwood floors worn smooth by time, windows facing west, a kitchenette barely big enough for ambition. When I sign the lease, my hand shakes. I half expect someone to stop me. No one does. Rachel hugs me when I tell her, "You did it." I correct her softly. I'm doing it. On my first day at the new office, I wear a navy blazer and sensible heels. The building smells like fresh paint and ambition. My new manager shakes my hand firmly. "We've heard great things," she says. "You come highly recommended. No mention of family, no assumptions, just work." At lunch, I sit alone on a bench overlooking a small park, unwrapping a sandwich. My phone buzzes, a message from my sister. "Why are you doing this to us?" I don't answer. Another message follows. "Mom's barely sleeping. Dad's furious. This is tearing the family apart." I breathe slowly, then I type. I didn't tear anything apart. I stepped out of something that was hurting me. 3 dots appear, disappear, reappear, then nothing. That evening, Rachel drags me to a ceramics class at a community center near the beach. "You need something that isn't work or therapy," she says. I protest weakly until my hands sink into cool clay. It yields under pressure, pushes back gently. "Don't force it," the instructor murmurs, standing behind me. "Listen to what it wants to be." I don't know how to listen yet. My first bowl is crooked and uneven. The rim wobbles. I love it anyway. I carried it carefully back to the apartment like something precious. 4 weeks after Christmas, my parents call together. I let it ring, then I answer. Dad speaks first. "This has gone on long enough." I say nothing. "You've humiliated us," Mom adds softly. "People are asking questions." "I needed space," I say. "From what?" Dad snaps. "From being the spare part, I think." "I won't apologize for taking care of myself," I say instead. Mom cries. Dad threatens. I end the call. My hands shake afterward. But I don't regret it. By the 6th week, my apartment starts to feel lived in. A lamp, a desk, one plant that I miraculously keep alive. On the bookshelf sits the ceramic owl bank. I drop a single dollar bill inside, not for saving, for remembering. One evening, Rachel sits beside me on the couch, flipping through a magazine. "They're telling people you had a breakdown," she says casually, "that you're unstable." I laugh softly. "Of course they are. What do you want to do?" "Nothing," I say. Truth doesn't need defending forever. That night, I write in my journal until my hand cramps. I am not cruel. I am not selfish. I am not abandoning anyone. I am choosing myself. 2 months after Christmas, an envelope arrives in the mail. Cream-colored, thick paper, my name in looping script, a wedding invitation, my cousin's, no +1, no note, just expectation. I set it on the table and stare at it for a long time. This isn't over. But for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of what comes next. The envelope sits on my kitchen counter for 3 days. I move it from one spot to another like it might detonate if left alone too long. First beside the fruit bowl, then under a stack of mail. Then back into the open as if hiding it has somehow given it power. Rachel notices immediately. "You're circling it like a shark," she says, leaning against the counter with her coffee. "It's a trap," I reply. She lifts an eyebrow. "A wedding invitation, a reunion disguised as lace and champagne." I finally open it on the 4th morning. Vanessa and Caleb, Magnolia Grove Estate. Portland, my stomach tightens. There's a small card tucked inside. "We'd love to have you celebrate with family." Family. The word lands with weight, no handwritten note. No acknowledgement of the last 7 months, just an assumption that I will show up, unaltered, unprotected, ready to resume my assigned role. I don't RSVP right away. Instead, I bring it to therapy. Dr. Havorson folds her hands, listening carefully as I explain. "I think they expect me to come alone," I say. "Sit where they tell me, smile. Pretend nothing happened." "And what do you want?" she asks. I hesitate. That question is still new. "I want to go," I admit slowly, "but not like before." She nods. "Then you don't decide whether you go, you decide how." The words settle in my chest. How? I book a hotel room that afternoon, not the family rental, not my parents' house. A hotel 4 blocks from the venue. When Dad leaves his third voicemail insisting I stay with everyone, I don't return the call. The boundary is the answer. The messages start coming from all directions. Aunt Ruth emails about forgiveness. Uncle Mark texts about keeping the peace. A cousin I barely know sends a Facebook message with praying hands emojis. Flying monkeys, Dr. Havorson calls them. I stop responding altogether. Silence isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The night before my flight, Rachel helps me choose a dress. Not something flashy, not something apologetic. Midnight blue silk, clean lines, confident. You look like someone who knows where the exits are, she says approvingly. I smile. Portland greets me with gray skies and familiar tension. At the hotel, I take my time getting ready. I don't rush. I don't rehearse apologies in my head. I breathe. When I arrive at the rehearsal dinner, conversations falter. Heads turn. I feel it, the collective recalibration. My mother's hand flies to her chest. My father stiffens, my sister freezes mid-laugh. I don't rush to them, I don't avoid them either. I simply exist. Chelsea approaches first. She looks different, tired, less polished. You look good, she says. Thank you, she hesitates. The car, I heard, I say gently, her shoulders sag. I didn't know how bad it was for you. I believe her, that doesn't change anything. Throughout the evening, relatives orbit closer, curious, cautious. I always wondered, one aunt whispers. You deserved better, a cousin murmurs. I absorb it without letting it anchor me. When Dad corners me near the bar, bourbon on his breath, I don't flinch. Family sticks together, he says. Family doesn't trade love for compliance, I reply calmly. His jaw tightens, I walk away. In the bathroom, Mom reaches for my hand. We miss you, she says. I miss who I needed you to be, I answer softly. I leave before she can respond. Later, on the terrace, Chelsea finally cracks. I don't know how to do this alone, she admits. They never taught me. I place a hand on her arm. I can support you, I say, but I won't save you. She nods, eyes wet, that's new. The night ends without explosions. That alone feels like a victory. Back in my hotel room, I sit on the edge of the bed and exhale. Tomorrow will be harder, but I'm ready. I sleep poorly. Not because of fear, because of anticipation. The morning of the wedding arrives wrapped in pale winter light, the kind that softens everything it touches. From my hotel window, I can see bare branches etched against the sky, delicate and unprotected, yet standing. I recognize myself in them. I shower slowly, letting the hot water ground me. I dress carefully, smoothing the silk over my shoulders, fastening the necklace Rachel insisted I wear. Not armor, not disguise, just presence. My phone buzzes as I'm pinning my hair back. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. When I arrive at Magnolia Grove, the place hums with pre-ceremony energy. Bridesmaids glide past carrying garment bags. Someone laughs too loudly. Someone else is already crying. Love and chaos braided together. Iris, Aunt Martha whispers when she sees me. Your parents are looking for you. Of course they are. They said it's urgent, she adds, lowering her voice. They're in the library. I thank her and wait. I help Vanessa adjust her veil first. I hold her hands while she breathes through nerves. I tell her she looks radiant, and I mean it. She squeezes my fingers, grateful and unaware of the storm forming elsewhere in the building. Only then do I make my way down the corridor toward the library. Each step feels deliberate. The door is closed. I knock once before entering. The room smells like old leather and dust and authority. Mom sits stiffly in an armchair, tissues already in hand. Dad paces near the fireplace, movements sharp, contained. Chelsea stands by the window, arms crossed, her reflection ghosted in the glass. This is not a conversation. This is a setup. Thank God, Mom says when she sees me. We need to talk, all of us. I remain near the door. The ceremony starts in 40 minutes, I say evenly. This can't wait, Dad snaps. Sit down. I walk to the chair he indicates and sit, not because he ordered me to, but because I choose to. I place my purse neatly beside me, feet flat on the floor, spine straight. I'm listening. Chelsea speaks first. Dad lost his job 3 months ago. Dad interjects quickly. Budget cuts. Downsizing, Mom presses a tissue to her eye. My therapist says I'm clinically depressed. Chelsea continues, voice tightening. We're selling the house. The words land exactly where they're meant to. 7 months ago, they would have crushed me. Today, I feel still. I'm sorry, I say. That's a lot, they blink, confused by my lack of collapse. Aren't you going to say something? Chelsea demands. This all started when you left. No, I reply calmly. This started long before that. Dad's face flushes. You walked out on your family. I walked away from a role that was hurting me. Mom's tears spill over. We never meant to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase impact, I say gently. I open my purse. The sound of the leather-bound album hitting my lap is soft but final. I brought something, I say. Dad scoffs, this is ridiculous. Humor me. I open the album. Side-by-side photographs, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, vacations, patterns that no longer require explanation. I add documents, loan statements, tuition records, receipts. Silence thickens. We didn't have the money back then, Mom whispers. Yes, you did, I reply. You chose where it went, Dad finally speaks, quieter now. You were always fine, capable, there it is. Being capable didn't mean I deserved less, I say. It meant I needed support too. I reach into my purse one last time, the ceramic owl. I pull the stopper and let the bills spill onto the table, dozens of crisp $2 notes. One for every week since Christmas, I explain, a reminder not of money but of worth. Chelsea stares at them. I never saw it like this. I know, I say, that's the problem. I stand. I don't want apologies, I say. I want change, therapy, boundaries, respect. Mom nods slowly. We'll do it. Dad hesitates, then nods once. I'm going to take my seat now, I say. My friend is saving me a place. As I leave, I hear Chelsea whisper, she's different. She's right. The ceremony is beautiful. I cry not from grief, but release. When Vanessa walks down the aisle, I feel something loosen in my chest. Love without conditions exists. I can witness it without envy now. At the reception, I sit where I requested, not between my parents, but beside a cousin who laughs easily and asks about my work with genuine interest. I answer honestly for once. Later that night, back in my hotel room, I kick off my heels and sit on the bed. I feel exhausted and whole. The plane ride back south feels shorter. Not because the distance has changed, but because something inside me has settled. I watch clouds drift beneath the wing, thick and luminous, and realize I'm no longer bracing for impact. The conversation in the library didn't fix everything. It didn't rewrite the past, but it shifted gravity. When I land, Rachel is waiting at the curb, sunglasses perched on her head, coffee already in hand. You survived, she says. I did more than survive, I reply. I stayed myself. That night we order takeout and eat on the balcony, the city humming below us. I tell her everything, the album, the money, my parents' stunned silence. I'm proud of you, she says simply. The words still feel unfamiliar. I let them land anyway. Change doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in fragments. Dad's first therapy appointment. Mom's awkward but sincere text checking in, no guilt attached. Chelsea sending a photo of a budgeting spreadsheet she made herself. I respond to some messages. Ignore others. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with locks. Work deepens. My role expands. I'm trusted, respected. When a junior engineer asks how I learned to hold my ground in meetings, I almost laugh. Practice, I say. And remembering I belong in the room. The ceramics class becomes a ritual. My bowls improve. My hands learn patience. One evening, as I'm glazing a piece, the instructor smiles. You don't fight the clay anymore, she says. I think of my family, of myself. 6 months pass. My apartment fills with small signs of life, a proper bed, framed prints, shelves of pottery. The owl bank sits on the mantel now, filled with bills that no longer sting. Each one marks a week I chose differently. On Christmas morning, sunlight spills across my own hardwood floors. Friends gather, laughter is easy, unforced. Rachel raises her glass. To Nora, she says, who taught us that strength can be quiet and still unbreakable. I smile, warmth blooming in my chest. Later, my phone buzzes. Chelsea, Merry Christmas. I made this in pottery class. It's terrible, but I tried. A photo follows, a crooked ornament, uneven glaze. It's perfect. I step onto the balcony, city lights reflecting off distant water. Worth, I realize, isn't something you earn by being useful. It's something you claim when you stop accepting less. I breathe in the night air, and for the first time, Christmas feels like mine. The new year doesn't arrive with fireworks for me. It comes quietly, the way real change often does, on a Tuesday. With emails and coffee gone cold on my desk, I'm 3 weeks into my expanded role when my manager, Alina, asks me to step into her office. She doesn't smile the way people do when they're about to soften a blow. She smiles like someone who enjoys competence. Close the door, she says. My stomach tightens out of habit, old reflex. I sit anyway. We're starting a new project, she says, sliding a folder across the desk. Mixed-use development, sustainable materials, aggressive timeline. I want you to lead it. I blink. Me, you, she confirms. You see systems clearly, you don't panic, and you don't disappear when things get uncomfortable. Something about the phrasing hits deeper than she intends. I accept, I say. She nods once. Good, don't make yourself small. After I leave her office, I sit at my desk for a full minute, hands resting on the keyboard, breathing. Don't make yourself small. I write it on a sticky note and press it to the corner of my monitor. Leadership looks different than I expected. It isn't domination or loudness, it's clarity. It's saying this is the standard and holding it without apology. When conflict arises, and it does, I don't absorb it. I don't smooth it over for everyone else's comfort. I facilitate, I decide. I move forward. At lunch one afternoon, a colleague named Jonah sits across from me, studying me over his salad. You didn't used to talk this much in meetings, he says. I smile. I used to think silence was professionalism, and now I think it's context dependent, he laughs. I like this version better, so do I. Outside of work, life stretches into unfamiliar shapes. Rachel moves in with her partner across town, leaving me alone in my apartment for the first time. The quiet is different now, not empty but intentional. I fill it deliberately, pottery twice a week, long walks near the water, dinners where I eat what I want when I want. I stop over explaining. I stop apologizing for needing rest. Chelsea and I establish a fragile rhythm, monthly calls, clear boundaries. She tells me about learning to budget, about working retail while freelancing on the side. There's less entitlement in her voice now, more uncertainty. I didn't realize how much they handled for me, she admits once. I thought that was just how life worked. It works that way for some people, I say carefully. Until it doesn't, she's quiet. I'm trying, she says. I know, I reply, and for the first time I mean it without resentment. My parents are different, not transformed, not redeemed, but trying. Dad goes to therapy grudgingly at first, then with something like curiosity. Mom stops using illness as leverage, though she occasionally slips. When she does, I name it calmly. We can talk when you're ready to do this without guilt, I say. She adjusts, slowly, painfully, but she adjusts. Spring arrives, with it an unexpected invitation. A coffee from someone I've worked alongside for months but never noticed that way. Evan, environmental engineer, thoughtful, steady. When he asks, I almost say no out of reflex. Then I catch myself. Yes, I say instead. We talk about work, then books, then family, carefully, honestly. I don't perform, I don't minimize. When I tell him about leaving my family home, he listens without trying to fix it. That sounds hard, he says. It's such a simple sentence. I feel something unclench. The relationship grows slowly. No fireworks, no chaos, just consistency. When I cancel a date because I'm overwhelmed, he says, take care of yourself. Want soup dropped off? I almost cry. Accepting help still feels radical. But I'm learning. One night, months later, I stand in my kitchen glazing a new bowl. The owl bank sits on the shelf nearby, now full, not with resentment, but markers of time. Each bill a week I chose myself. I think of the girl on the living room floor with the coin bank and the silence and the ache. I wish I could tell her this. It won't always hurt like this. You will not disappear. You will build something solid. Instead, I hold the bowl steady and let the clay become what it wants to be, just like me. The past never knocks politely. It arrives disguised as nostalgia. A voicemail from my mother on a Thursday afternoon, gentler than usual, almost casual. Your father and I are thinking of hosting Easter this year. Just immediate family, we'd love for you to come. Immediate family, the phrase used to mean obligation, performance, emotional labor. Now it means a decision. I don't respond right away. That evening, Evan and I cook together in my kitchen. He chops vegetables with methodical care while I stir a sauce, steam fogging the windows. Domesticity still surprises me when it doesn't feel like a trap. You're quiet, he observes. Family invitation, I say. He nods. Do you want to go? The simplicity of the question still catches me off guard. I don't know yet, I answer honestly. That's okay, he says. You don't have to decide tonight. Support without pressure. I file that away like a small miracle. 2 days later, Chelsea calls, not texts, calls. I heard about Easter, she says. I just wanted to tell you, if you go, I'll be glad. If you don't, I'll understand. It's the first time she's ever given me an out. I sit with that. Therapy helps me see the pattern more clearly than ever. They're testing the new dynamic, Dr. Halvorson says, not maliciously, but unconsciously. So what do? You decide the terms, she replies, and you state them. The idea still tightens my chest, but fear is no longer a stop sign, it's a signal. I call my mother the following Sunday. Her relief is immediate and telling. We're so happy you're considering it, she says quickly. I haven't decided yet, I reply gently. I need to be clear about something first. She goes quiet. If I come, I continue, I won't be staying overnight. I won't be discussing money, my choices, or my relationship. And if anyone tries to guilt me, I'll leave. A pause, then that feels rigid. It's actually flexible, I say, because it allows me to show up at all. Another pause, longer this time. Okay, she says finally, we can do that. I write it down afterward. Memory has a way of getting rewritten. Easter morning is bright and deceptively cheerful. I drive myself. I park on the street, not the driveway. Inside, the house looks smaller than I remember, less powerful. Dad hugs me awkwardly. Mom tries too hard. Chelsea smiles with real warmth. No one mentions the rules, which is good. For 2 hours, things are fine, not warm, not hostile, just real. Then inevitably it happens. Dad comments on my car. You know, if you hadn't moved out when you did, you could have saved a lot more by now. The old me would have frozen. The new me sets down her fork. Dad, I say calmly, that's not a conversation I'm having. He blinks. I didn't mean, I know, I reply. Let's change the subject. The table goes quiet. Then Chelsea clears her throat and starts talking about work. And just like that, the world doesn't end. Later in the kitchen, Mom reaches for my arm. I'm proud of you, she says softly. For how you handled that, I study her face. I'm proud of me too, I reply. She nods, absorbing it. That's new. When I leave, I feel tired, but not hollow. That matters. In the car, I sit for a moment before turning the key. Boundaries didn't ruin the day. They made it survivable. That night, Evan and I walk along the water, city lights rippling across the surface. He slips his hand into mine, unremarkable and grounding. You did something hard today, he says. I did something honest, I correct. He smiles. That too, back home, I add another bill to the owl bank, not because I need the reminder anymore, but because rituals can change meaning. This one no longer marks survival, it marks authorship. The project hits its first real crisis in early summer. A supplier backs out, timelines compress, budgets tense like drawn wire. The old version of me would have absorbed the panic quietly, stayed late without telling anyone, tried to fix everything before anyone noticed there was a problem. Instead, I call a meeting. I stand at the head of the table, palms flat, voice steady. This is the issue, I say. These are our options. This is the one I recommend. There's resistance, questions, a raised voice. I don't flinch when it's over. Alina lingers. You didn't ask for permission, she observes. I didn't need it, I reply. She smiles. Exactly, that night walking home, it hits me. I'm no longer asking invisible judges to approve my life. Not my parents, not my past, not the frightened version of myself. The quiet confidence feels earned. The shift shows up everywhere. I negotiate my salary without apology and get what I ask for. I say no to projects that don't align. I stop explaining my relationship status like it's provisional. Evan notices. You trust yourself now, he says one evening as we sit on the couch, feet tangled. I think I finally believe myself, I answer. He presses a kiss to my temple. No urgency, no claim, just presence. Chelsea surprises me in July. She asks if we can meet, not at my parents' house, not mine, but halfway, neutral ground. Over iced coffee, she fidgets with her straw. I've been thinking a lot, she says, about us. About how much you carried. I stay quiet. I don't expect forgiveness, she continues quickly. I just needed to say I see it now. Something loosens in my chest. Thank you, I say. That matters, she exhales, relieved. We don't hug, but when we part, it doesn't feel unfinished. Later that month, my parents ask if I'll help them navigate selling the house. The old reflex flares, of course, I'll handle it. I pause. I can recommend a realtor, I say, but I won't manage it. There's disappointment. I let it exist. Choosing myself no longer feels like theft. One evening, while cleaning, I find the old photo album I brought to the wedding. I sit on the floor and flip through it. The pattern is undeniable. But instead of anger, I feel something like compassion for the girl who didn't have language yet, who thought endurance was love. I've got you now, I murmur, absurd and sincere. I place the album back on the shelf. It no longer needs to be evidence. In August, Evan asks me something that makes my heart stutter. Would you want to live together? Not demand, not assumption. An invitation, I take a breath. Yes, I say, but slowly. He grins. Perfect. On the anniversary of the day I left my family home, I do something deliberate. I take the owl bank down, I open it. And instead of adding another bill, I count them. I don't need the number, I need the weight. Then I place the bills in a box and label it foundation, because that's what it was, not a wound. A beginning. That night lying beside Evan, I stare at the ceiling, aware of how calm my body feels. No bracing, no scanning for danger, no rehearsing defenses. Peace, I realize, isn't loud. It's the absence of shrinking. It happens without ceremony. No confrontation, no dramatic declaration, just a moment where the old script is offered and I don't take it. My mother calls on a Wednesday afternoon, voice tight with urgency. Your father's in the hospital, she says. The words still spike something primal in me. What happened? Chest pain. They're running tests. The old reflex roars awake. Drop everything. Go fix. I close my eyes. I'm sorry, I say. Is he stable? Yes, they think it's stress related. I breathe. What do you need right now? I ask. There's a pause. This question is new for her. I don't know, she admits. I thought you'd come. I imagine the sterile hallway, the unspoken expectation. The role waiting patiently for me to step back into it. I can come this weekend, I say carefully. If that works, silence stretches. That's not soon enough, she says, and there it is, pressure disguised as need. I understand this is scary, I reply, but I can't leave work today, she exhales sharply. I guess we'll manage. The words are loaded. I don't pick them up. I'll check in tomorrow, I say. Please text me updates. When we hang up, my hands are steady. That's how I know something fundamental has changed. At the hospital 2 days later, Dad looks smaller, not weaker, human. He tries to make a joke about doctors and bills, old habits. I pull a chair close. I'm glad you're okay, I say. He nods. I didn't realize how much pressure I was under. I let the silence do its work. I spent a long time thinking I could hold everything together, he continues. I thought that was strength. I meet his eyes. So did I say. That's the closest we've ever come to speaking the same language. Later in the hallway, Mom reaches for me. Thank you for coming, she says. I know you didn't have to. The acknowledgement lands gently. You're welcome, I reply. I came because I chose to, she nods, absorbing the distinction. Back home, life continues, work, love. Quiet mornings, but something has shifted permanently. The pattern didn't shatter in an explosion, it dissolved. Months later, I receive a text from my mother. We're proud of you, truly, no follow-up. No request, no guilt. I stare at the screen for a long time. Then I type back, thank you, nothing else, that's enough. One evening, Evan and I unpack boxes in our shared space, our shared life. He holds up the owl bank, grinning. What's this? I take it from him. A reminder, I say, that I don't owe anyone my disappearance. I set it on a shelf, not prominent, not hidden, balanced. As night falls, I step onto the balcony alone. The city hums below me, indifferent and alive. I think of the girl who learned early how to be useful, quiet, accommodating. I think of the woman who learned slowly how to take up space. And I understand, finally, breaking the pattern wasn't about winning, it was about stopping the sacrifice. Years later, the story is harder to summarize. There's no single triumph to point to, no clean before and after that fits neatly into conversation. There is just life. A life where work challenges me without consuming me. A life where love is steady, chosen daily, never bartered for safety. A life where my parents exist at a distance that no longer feels like exile or obligation. Chelsea and I are not close, but we are honest. That turns out to be enough. The owl bank still sits on the shelf. Dust gathers on it sometimes. I leave it there anyway, not as a warning, but as proof of endurance, of change, of authorship. Occasionally, someone new learns a fragment of my past and says, I don't know how you survived that. I smile. I didn't, I tell them. I stopped surviving. That's the part people misunderstand. The ending wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even healing in the way movies promise. It was consent, consent to my own life, consent to rest. Consent to taking up space without apology. And once I gave myself that, there was nothing left to escape from.